This is absolutely disgusting and I cannot believe what just happened. Triple H has fired Liv Morgan from WWE after discovering she was the mastermind behind the brutal attack on Rhea Ripley that left Mommy hospitalized for weeks. The evidence that led to this earth-shattering decision is so damning that it's making the entire wrestling world question everything they thought they knew about Liv Morgan. Security footage, witness testimony, and leaked text messages have exposed a conspiracy so twisted that it reads like something from a crime thriller. The investigation that brought down Liv Morgan began when an anonymous tip led WWE security to examine footage from areas that weren't supposed to have cameras. What they discovered was hours of video showing Liv coordinating with unknown individuals, providing detailed information about Rhea's schedule, and even conducting what appeared to be surveillance of the Women's World Champion. The level of premeditation involved in this attack is absolutely chilling. For months, wrestling fans have been wondering who could orchestrate such a vicious assault on one of WWE's biggest stars. The attack left Rhea with injuries so severe that doctors weren't initially sure she would ever compete again. Multiple fractures, internal bleeding, and neurological damage that required emergency surgery. This wasn't just an attack, it was an attempted career assassination carried out with surgical precision. The smoking gun that sealed Liv's fate came from recovered text messages that she thought had been permanently deleted. In these communications, she can be seen discussing payment arrangements with her accomplices, providing detailed building layouts, and even specifying which injuries would be most effective at ending Rhea's career. One message reads, "Make sure the damage is permanent. I'm tired of living in her shadow." What makes this betrayal even more sickening is how Liv maintained her innocent facade throughout the entire investigation. She attended meetings where the attack was discussed, participated in segments expressing concern for Rhea's well-being, and even visited her in the hospital with flowers and get-well cards. She was playing the role of concerned colleague while secretly celebrating the success of her own handiwork. The timeline revealed by investigators shows that Liv had been planning this attack for over 6 months. Security footage from multiple events shows her following Rhea through arenas, photographing her routines, and even attempting to access restricted areas where she shouldn't have been. This wasn't a crime of passion. It was a calculated campaign designed to eliminate what she viewed as her biggest obstacle to championship gold. WWE's internal investigation uncovered a disturbing pattern of behavior that goes back over a year. Remember when Tiffany Stratton suffered mysterious food poisoning before a major match? Liv was spotted in catering that day. Remember when Iyo Sky's ring gear was damaged minutes before her entrance? Security cameras show Liv in the women's locker room during that time frame. This conspiracy was broader and more systematic than anyone imagined. The psychological profile developed by WWE's security team describes Liv as someone with an obsessive need for spotlight and an inability to handle competition. The report details how she had been keeping detailed files on other women's schedules, relationships, and vulnerabilities. She wasn't just planning one attack, she was systematically targeting anyone she perceived as a threat to her career advancement. Triple H's decision came after a meeting described by sources as the most tense hour in WWE corporate history. The evidence presented was so overwhelming that the termination was unanimous and immediate. But this wasn't just a firing, it was a complete erasure from WWE programming. Within hours, Liv's merchandise disappeared from WWE Shop, her matches were removed from featured content, and promotional materials were scrubbed clean. The financial cost of this investigation has been staggering, with WWE spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on private investigators, security consultants, and legal fees. The company is now pursuing both criminal charges and civil litigation against Liv for conspiracy, assault, and damages related to Rhea's lost earning potential during her recovery period. Other WWE superstars have reacted with shock and disgust upon learning the truth. Rhea Ripley herself released a statement saying, "I trusted her with my life, and she literally tried to take it from me." The betrayal cuts deeper than any physical injury. The psychological impact on the entire women's division has been devastating, with several performers requesting enhanced security measures. The method used in the attack shows a level of planning that investigators describe as professionally executed. The assailants knew exactly which security cameras to avoid, had detailed knowledge of Rhea's routine, and used techniques designed to maximize injury while minimizing the chances of being caught. This wasn't random violence, it was a precisely orchestrated hit. Financial records obtained through court orders reveal that Liv had been moving money through multiple accounts to pay her accomplices. She used cash transactions, cryptocurrency, and even bartering arrangements to avoid leaving paper trails. The sophistication of her money laundering operation suggests she had been planning criminal activities for far longer than anyone suspected. The impact on ongoing storylines has been immediate and dramatic. Writers are scrambling to remove all traces of Liv from current programming while trying to explain her sudden absence without admitting the real reasons. Several major storylines had to be completely rewritten, costing the company millions in lost creative investment and promotional materials. Witness testimony from backstage personnel paints a picture of someone who had become increasingly erratic and threatening in the months leading up to the attack. Multiple employees reported feeling uncomfortable around Liv, describing her behavior as predatory and obsessive. Several formal complaints had been filed with human resources, but the severity of the situation wasn't fully understood until after the attack. The legal ramifications extend far beyond WWE, with federal authorities now investigating potential racketeering charges. The FBI has taken over the case due to its interstate nature and the involvement of organized criminal activity. If convicted on all charges, Liv could face life in prison without the possibility of parole. Social media evidence shows that Liv had been studying Ray's posts for patterns, analyzing her location data, and even creating fake accounts to gather additional intelligence. Her digital footprint reveals an obsession that borders on stalking behavior, with thousands of screenshots and detailed notes about Ray's personal life and professional schedule. The revelation has created a crisis of trust within WWE's locker room. Performers who once socialized freely are now guarded and suspicious. The women's division, in particular, has been devastated by the knowledge that one of their own was capable of such calculated violence. Several female superstars have requested transfers to different brands to avoid being on the same shows. Medical experts who treated Rhea have described her injuries as among the most severe they've encountered in non-vehicular assault cases. The attackers targeted specific joints and organs with the apparent goal of causing permanent disability. The fact that Rhea survived and recovered enough to potentially return to competition is being described as miraculous by her medical team. The investigation also uncovered evidence that Liv had been researching similar attacks on athletes in other sports. Her internet search history revealed queries about career-ending injuries, recovery timelines, and methods of causing untraceable harm. She had essentially turned assault planning into a science, studying the most effective ways to destroy someone's livelihood. Corporate emails leaked during the investigation revealed that several WWE executives suspected something was wrong but failed to take decisive action. Internal memos discuss Liv's concerning behavior and potential security risks, but no meaningful steps were taken to protect other performers. This negligence could expose WWE to additional liability in civil court. The accomplices hired by Liv have been identified through the investigation and are facing their own criminal charges. These individuals had extensive criminal backgrounds and were specifically chosen for their willingness to cause serious bodily harm. The fact that Liv was able to make contact with such dangerous criminals suggests she had been planning this for far longer than initially believed. Security footage from the night of the attack shows Liv providing her accomplices with key cards, building layouts, and even Ray's car keys. She had essentially provided them with everything they needed to carry out what prosecutors are calling an attempted murder. The level of access and information she possessed demonstrates how deeply she had infiltrated Ray's life. The psychological evaluation ordered by the court describes Liv as having antisocial personality disorder with narcissistic and psychopathic traits. Mental health experts who reviewed her case believe she poses an ongoing danger to anyone she perceives as competition or threat. This assessment has been used to argue against bail and for maximum sentencing. Industry insiders are calling this the biggest scandal in wrestling history, surpassing previous controversies in both scope and severity. The fact that a WWE performer orchestrated an attempted murder of a colleague has sent shockwaves throughout the entertainment world. Other sports and entertainment companies are reviewing their own security protocols in response to this incident. The impact on Ray's career trajectory has been devastating. Before the attack, she was positioned as a potential face of the company and was being considered for mainstream opportunities. The time lost during recovery and the psychological trauma have significantly altered her career path. WWE is facing massive lawsuits for their failure to protect one of their biggest stars. Law enforcement officials describe the investigation as one of the most complex they've encountered, involving multiple jurisdictions, digital forensics, and international cooperation to track down all of Liv's accomplices. The sophistication of the conspiracy has led to changes in how authorities investigate crimes involving public figures and organized criminal activity. The revelation has also exposed weaknesses in WWE's security infrastructure that could have allowed other attacks to occur. The company is now implementing comprehensive changes to their protocols, including enhanced background checks, psychological evaluations, and continuous monitoring of performer behavior. The cost of these security upgrades is estimated in the millions. Former WWE performers have come forward with their own stories about feeling unsafe or threatened by colleagues, suggesting that this incident may not be isolated. A pattern of toxic behavior and inadequate response from management is emerging that could lead to class action lawsuits and federal oversight of the company's operations. The media coverage of this scandal has been unprecedented, with major news outlets treating it as a criminal justice story rather than sports entertainment news. The transition from wrestling storyline to real-world crime has captured public attention in ways that typical wrestling controversies never could. This crossover appeal has brought unwanted scrutiny to the entire industry. Victim impact statements from Rhea and her family describe the ongoing trauma and fear that continue to affect their daily lives. The psychological scars from the attack and betrayal may never fully heal, representing a human cost that goes far beyond career implications or financial damages. The personal destruction caused by Liv's actions extends to everyone who cared about Rhea. The investigation continues to uncover new evidence as authorities work to identify all parties involved in the conspiracy. Additional arrests are expected as the full scope of Liv's criminal network becomes clear. Each new revelation adds to the mounting evidence that this was a far more extensive operation than initially believed. Congressional representatives have begun calling for federal oversight of professional wrestling following this incident. The lack of regulatory structure that allowed such a situation to develop unchecked has become a matter of public policy debate. Changes to how wrestling companies are regulated and monitored could result from this scandal. The financial impact on WWE continues to grow as sponsors distance themselves from the company and investors lose confidence in management's ability to handle such crises. Stock prices have plummeted, and the company's reputation may never fully recover from the revelation that they employed someone capable of attempted murder while failing to protect their other performers. As the legal proceedings continue and more evidence emerges, the full extent of Liv Morgan's crimes and WWE's failures becomes increasingly clear. This case will likely be studied for years as an example of how unchecked ambition and corporate negligence can lead to devastating consequences for everyone involved.